Good evening. Good evening. Happy Be Healed Tuesday to each and every one of you. I am your host, Camille R. Perry, and I'm so excited that you joined us once again to tune in for the web show on tonight. And my guest is second to none, absolutely amazing woman. She's going to be sharing about being on assignment, and I'm going to read her bio in just a second. But of course, like usual, we got a little bit of announcements for tonight. Again, Be Healed Women's Conference is happening. That's going to be taking place August 18th through the 20th in Palm Desert. So be sure to check out www.behealedconference.com. Register, ladies. It's still early bird registration of $99. And of course, your hotel is separate, but we have rates for that as well. So definitely make sure you're there, because Be Healed 2022, the theme is You're Going to Live. And I know that God has some specific ways on areas on how we can improve how we live. All right. So, of course, last of the announcements is, if you're watching for the very first time, welcome. So happy you stopped by. Okay. I would say who referred you, but I'm pretty sure I already know. It's the guest for tonight. She comes with her own community, and I'm excited. I have the privilege of knowing Shenee. We met back working at Verizon Wireless literally over 15 years ago. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it's been about 15 years. And what was so interesting about this young woman, the determination. We were working over in the marketing team. She had her assignments that she was working, but she had it set. I'm going to be an actress. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be in these movies. I've been modeling. It's going to happen. And her determination has brought her just there. She quit Verizon and started acting more regularly, full-time, being a full-time actress and model. From there, she's dabbled in, always been a great cook, but decided vegan is the way. And she's a vegan chef. And so she's the CEO and founder and owner of Cotton Creations, LLC. Now she's Maryland native, okay, but we get her. So East Coast folks, we thank you for tuning in with us on tonight. But we got our Cali sister here. Even though she's an entrepreneur, even though she has all these things that she's attached, she highlights her life about being servant and knowing that she is doing what God has called her to do in her life, stepping out of the boat and being brave and doing those things. So she's college educated. I mean, listen, the list goes on. If you've seen her in some movies or you've seen her in some shows, because I know she was in Straight Outta Compton. I know I've seen her in there. I know I saw her over there in Westworld. So listen, she got her own IMDb. Y'all listen, she's credible. And I'm so excited that she's with us on tonight. So I'm going to bring her in the room. Let's welcome my friend, my sister, Miss Shenee Cotton. So happy to have you, sis.
Thank you, sis. I really appreciate you having me on tonight. I know this has been like some years in the planning, just because schedule issues, but I'm so grateful that God has allowed us this time, this very moment, for us to connect and for me to share on your platform.
Yes, listen, I mean, when you posted that you were wrapping up, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep shooting my shot. Like, sissy, you're like, yeah, I can do it. I'm like, and I'm so grateful because not only do you handle your business, because as a full-time actress, but yet a full-time owner of a flourishing vegan business, cooking business, and you're a caterer, vegan catering. I mean, you kind of got me looking at crossing over to the vegan side, between you and Nikki Douglas. I mean, you and Nikki Douglas, y'all been cooking up some stuff, and I'm like, well, that looks amazing. So, but that, and then you have your own line, and for the ponytail, you have your own patent. Like, sis,
come on, guys.
This is what being on assignment is. Talk about it.
Well, you mentioned a lot of the fruits of the labor.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that goes into it. And the successes and the wins are great, but yeah, there's just a ton to unpack in terms of what it means to be on assignment and what that looks like in real life, not in theory, because a lot of times we use a lot of phrases and things that sound cute, but we need to talk about what that really looks like in real life and how you make that practical on a daily basis.
Talk about. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm taking notes.
So to me, what being on assignment for me means that you are surrendering your will and your life over to whatever it is that God has planned for you. And so we all have a purpose and a mission and an assignment. And so for me, it takes an enormous amount of faith, number one. You've even seen me through one major transition of my life. I've been on several transitions, but you've witnessed one that you briefly spoke on, which was when I transitioned from leaving Verizon Wireless and then going into a totally different industry and furthering my modeling and acting career. And so we'll unpack that in just a second, but it definitely takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of belief in yourself, belief in God and your abilities, even when you don't even know that you have certain skill sets that you'll need on the journey. You still have to have that confidence that either you're going to gain it through the journey or that you'll develop it over time or get trained or what have you. So it takes a lot of faith, a lot of belief. It takes a lot of discipline. As you mentioned, doing two things that require a lot of attention, a lot of energy, a lot of time, which is working on set, being a full-time performer and actress. I'm not sure if you guys know how it is in that world, but it requires a lot of your time. So, for example, the scene that you're speaking of that I was in for Straight Outta Compton, we literally, it took us 3 days to shoot that skating scene. And we were there between 12 and 15 hours each day. Whew. Yes. That's a lot of time, a lot of energy, all of that. And that's on a daily basis. So a small scene, like for example, that takes, let's say, is on the screen for maybe 30 seconds. That might take us like 8 hours to shoot it.
Wow.
And then it's only 30 seconds in the final product. So it takes a whole lot of time and energy, but it also takes a whole lot of time and energy to also be an entrepreneur and run my business at the same time. So discipline, it takes a lot of hard work, persistence, dedication, resilience, tenacity, all those things. So that's what it means for me to be on assignment. So it means when God tells me it's time to move, I move.
Just like that.
Just like that. Because what I've learned through my journey, and I know you also agree with this and find this to be true too, is that God's will and plan for my life is so much better than what I could ever think or imagine. Yeah. So instead of me, trying to stop what he's going to have happen anyway, I might as well just go ahead and get on board and just let him use me in the way that he wants to use me. Yes. And so earlier on in life, I would, try to, put up a wall and sometimes try to do it my way. But like I said, I'm getting older, more mature. Maturity comes wisdom. And so now it's just like, if you say do it, God, I'm just going to do it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have it happen regardless. So it's no need for me to, put up a fight. Yeah. So long be inevitable.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna pause for a second on this because, I'm processing Because as you're saying that, I think of when how, because I remember you saying I'm leaving Verizon. I was just like, girl, what you
Right.
talking? This 50% off, our phone plan. Why would
Okay.
you leave? But I want to say that you had such intensity in your eyes where it was, I gotta go. I have to.
Mhm.
And I remember you came over and you did my hair. Because by the way, she also can do hair. And she makes, the scripture says over in Proverbs 31, who can find a virtuous woman? And it brings out the qualifications of this virtuous woman. And one of the things that I think about when I look at my friends and how God has blessed me with virtuous women in my friend circle that I've been able to learn and glean from, you rise early to take care of business, that you put your hands to things. You're not just a seamstress, you're not just the artist, you're not just the performer, you're still a daughter, you're still a sister, you're still a friend, you're still the entrepreneur. I mean, all, and you make it look so good, so
Thank
easy.
you.
And when you mention about understanding the will of God for your life, how did you know that it was time to, like, was it an audible, was it a deep impression? How did you know it was time to take that leap, and whatever leaps you've taken subsequently?
So, when it came to that particular period in my life, I knew before I even got to California that the exit strategy was already in motion.
Okay.
Um, so I've
Wow.
always been very open and transparent with all of my leadership and managers at Verizon Wireless. So whenever we would have, this our huddles and team meetings about, our performance and our goal setting and career development, I would be always straightforward and say, hey, this is ultimately not my ending place,
Hmm.
and this is what I aspire to do. However, while here, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to achieve. But ultimately, I do plan to transition and go ahead and further my modeling and acting career. So my manager at the time, Nicole, she knew that. And
Hmm.
so obviously we both had been looking at job postings, and there was a rec that came up for the position that I ultimately got in Hanover. And because she knew that I wanted to further my modeling and acting career, she knew that I needed to be either in close to LA or New York.
Okay.
And so for me at that point, I was feeling like that urge, and I just was like, God, how is this gonna work? How is this gonna happen? I'm still in the
Mhm.
Maryland, DC area. And so I ended up doing a fast and prayed heavily during that fast for clarity and direction. And so that job rec came up, I saw it, and a couple days later she was like, hey Shenee, did you see that job rec? I think you're perfect for it. And I was like, yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. And so I went on ahead and applied. And so after shortly after I applied, maybe like a week or two, and I had went on, I think I had been through the first round, or maybe it was longer than a week or two, but I had already been through the first round of interviews.
Okay.
And shortly after that, my manager at the time, Nicole, pulls me in her office and she was like, hey, I got something to tell you. She was like, I found out who the HR hiring manager is for this position. And I was like, oh, who? And she was like, and she told me the name. And I was like, no way. And it was
Hmm.
a person that used to work in our office.
Wow.
So yeah, so she was like, I'm gonna reach out and just see if I can get some inside scoop, and whatnot. So God just like set all that up. And
Mhm.
I went through the interview process and later found out that there were like 97 other candidates that had applied for the position. And yeah, and so I got the position. It came with relocation, um, money to, like, they paying me to move
Right.
across the country, right?
Mhm. Right.
So God just set it all up. And I knew it was him because one, it was like a perfect position that I was like fully qualified for. Two, I was in a position where I was able to just up and relocate. I didn't have any like responsibilities tying me to a specific location. And it was close to LA. And when I had done my fast, I was like, God, I mean, I kind of need to be in LA or New York. Like, that's where the capital of entertainment is. Like, that's kind of where I have to be. And so, yeah, so he set that up. So I already knew before I even got here to California that the exit strategy was already in motion.
Whew. I mean, again, it's all God, right? I just, again, we always look at Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, right? And
Mm-hmm.
plans to prosper us, not to harm us, to bring us a hope in the future. We understand that, I think, sometimes in headspace, or like in like, oh yeah. But when we have
Right.
to actually like hold it all over and put it not just in that sounds good, but now I need
Right.
to apply it. Because as you're speaking, I'm asking God, like, okay, I know what I feel is my purpose and my passion. How do I step? And so, like the first thing you said, you prayed and fast, and we already
Mm-hmm.
know that Jesus said these hard things they come about through prayer and fasting. Like this is how we get the victory over it. So you get to California, which I think, not even I think, I know for a fact it was a blessing. Like yes,
Yeah.
for your life, but I just want to let you know you've blessed me along the way. So
Oh,
I just want to tell you, it wasn't just for that. God allowed us to connect because I need to see that walking embodiment of what it means to step out the boat and keep walking. Like,
yeah.
oh, thank you. So
You're welcome.
you get here, you're working. Did you have a year's plan? Did you have a specific day? Did you
Um,
wake up that morning and say, today's the day?
that would be cool to be able to say like I woke up one day and was like today's the day, but
Mhm,
no, it didn't quite work out like that. And I'm a planner
mhm.
anyway, so I had a dollar amount that I wanted to have before leaving,
Okay.
because I knew that as soon as I left, the trainer in me, and I know you can
Mhm.
relate to this
Oh,
being
yeah.
a trainer, I wanted to train and take acting classes and things like that. And I didn't want to be concerned about, how I was going to live and survive over that first year of that part of the journey. So I had a dollar figure in mind. And once I reached that, it was like, okay, now it's time to like
Wow.
move yeah, to move forward with the plan. And one other thing that I'll say about that particular time is that, you know it can be very scary
Mhm,
to make a financial jump, the one that I made. So I was making almost six figures
mhm.
when I left Verizon Wireless, to making no income for a year. And then when I did start getting acting jobs, it was minimum wage. So
Wow.
I already know like that right there can deter anyone from
Right.
wanting to continue on the journey. But I knew that God had me because He wouldn't have set it all up so perfectly for
Yes.
me to get this relocation and the job in this position, for me to just stop. And
Mhm.
I knew that. And so that's one of the things that made me just so confident in my decision to move forward, because I saw how God like divinely set it up.
Yes. That's setup. Whew. The setup is real. So what was your circle saying? Your mom, your dad, your close knit, your safety net folks that will always, baby, we with you, or whoa, what are you
Yeah.
doing? What was that like?
So thankfully my circle has always been extremely supportive.
Mhm.
Um and encouraging, even if they don't know necessarily how everything's going to work out. They trust, you know, my decision, and they know that I have a strong relationship with God. So they know I've consulted, you know, my father before making these moves. And so thankfully, they've always been very supportive of my decisions and my journey. So I'm extremely grateful for that.
That's good. Well, whew, I'm just going to jump a little bit. What
Let's do it.
was since you made this leap, this grand leap of faith in being on assignment, what has been that moment that you write or you reflect on often of saying, yeah, this is why I did such and such. This is it. Or what has been maybe your landmark, or what do they call it, as you're traveling along the journey? Sometimes there's like little road markers ahead, but you kind of make a pit stop there. What has been that in your journey for yourself?
Um, I feel like I have different ones.
Mm-hmm.
So most recently, I had one recently. So for the past 3 years, I worked on the show All American as a stand-in.
Yeah.
And when I first got to that show, so as you mentioned, let me back up. So as Camille mentioned earlier in my bio, I am a vegan chef. And I started my vegan journey back in 2017. So when I first got to that show, there were no vegan options. So in terms of at our craft services.
Okay.
And so and for those that don't know, craft services is
Free stuff.
Yes, the area you go when you hungry and you need snacks and food and drinks and fruit and candy and all that kind of stuff. So they always bring out two what are called hot snacks to hold us over till we get to lunch, and in the afternoon they bring out another one like 3 hours after lunch. Because remember, y'all, we there for 12 to 14 hours a day, and we be hungry. So, so the hot snacks, there weren't any vegan options, and I really couldn't understand that because one, we're in this time, especially in California, where there's a plethora of yeah. And then two, we have cast members, like the star of the show is vegan.
Really?
So yeah. So so it's kind of like, why aren't there vegan options? So I looking back at that moment, and now where we just wrapped up a couple weeks ago, they have vegan options every single time now that they bring in food. And I've seen so many of our crew members that'll be like, hey Cotton, I tried the vegan slider, or hey Cotton, I got the vegan lasagna, or things like that. Because what I was doing was I was planting the seed. I was having those conversations with our craft services management team, like, hey, we need to get some vegan options. We need vegan options, and educating them on what vegan foods are. Because sometimes they would bring in things and you're like, oh, we had a vegan option, and come to find out it's really vegetarian because it has dairy, cheese, or it's made with milk or things like that. But now they always have a vegan option. And I would also bring in things to our cast and crew to try. So yeah, because I mean, I can't eat all these things that I make for my YouTube channel for the cooking tutorials. So what I do is I take all that stuff to set
Okay.
and have them try it out. And so what I realized is that by doing that, they are now much more open to trying vegan food options, and some of them prefer it. And so just looking over those past 3 years and the impact that I've been able to have just even in that space,
Yes.
helps me to realize, like, okay, God, I see what you're doing.
Yes, everything's relevant. Everything relevant as you're being on assignment. And those that's just joining us have the one and only Shenee Cotton, the actress, the entrepreneur, the mogul, the success, the faith walker, the one that who says that I can do all, literally, you embody the scripture, I can do all things through Christ who
Come
strengthened
on,
you.
who's strengthened? Come
Like,
on.
you're like, no, I know I can. So, and I'm so happy that you're sharing your portion about being on assignment. So you've told us that you already knew that it was for you to get out here. God made the way, gave you the finances, literally paid your way to get here. And then when your number was met in the bank account, to have
Yeah.
that 1 year to get the training, get the acting, and the various things that you needed, you stepped out once again and you followed the path. What adversities have you had to overcome in this world where we're not always the first to get picked as women of color, as women of faith? How have you overcome those adversities? But most importantly, what have you been able to hold fast and maybe share with someone else to help them overcome as well?
Um, so the journey definitely hasn't been without any challenges. It's definitely challenging. Um, as an entrepreneur, I'll say some challenges that I'm still dealing with and trying to figure out how to overcome is gaining capital.
Mm,
So I'm
okay.
sure many of you have heard this, that, you know, people of color, Black people more specifically, we apply for capital, venture capital, loans, grants, all those things. Um, we outnumber our white counterparts in terms of applying for these
Wow.
forms of capital.
Okay.
However, we are the least likely to get
Wow.
the capital that is available. And I'm experiencing that even within my own business as we're trying to scale and grow. Um, I haven't been able to secure many things in terms of capital. So
Mhm.
that's still something that I am working through, and trying to find organizations that are geared more specifically for people of color and women, business owners, so that, that increases my chances. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it's just like there's a lot of us to
Yeah.
go around that are looking for the same thing because we're experiencing the same obstacles. So I know God's going to open a door and make a way, but that is something that I'm currently working through. Now, going back to like, let's say my earlier years of growing up, I actually grew up in a county that is the poorest in our state, in Maryland,
Which one?
um, Somerset County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, um, as you can imagine, growing up in the poorest county, your resources are very limited.
Yeah.
You don't have access to a lot of the different programs that many other schools have.
Mhm.
And for example, um, there are some schools where you can learn like a foreign language when you're in elementary school.
Mhm.
Foreign languages were not offered to us until we got to high school. Um,
And that's
yeah,
hard to learn a
yes,
second language when you've been speaking a language for over 10, 15 years. So,
exactly. Yeah. So, um, so that's just one example, but there's many
mhm.
where we're limited on resources, and we're limited in terms of opportunities and exposure to different things where others may have access. So the way that that impacted me was, I was a very high performing student all
Mhm.
throughout school. Graduated in the top 5% of my graduating class. However, my SAT scores were lower than what they needed to be to go straight into college.
Okay.
And so, with that being said, I was accepted into a summer program
Mhm.
at my college, University of Maryland College Park,
Okay.
where they pretty much said, you know what, this group of students, we feel that they have what it takes to succeed here. It's just that one of the two is not aligned, whether it be your GPA or your SAT score.
Okay.
But we want to give them an opportunity to pretty much prove themselves that, if
Mhm.
they take a couple courses over the summer with
Mhm.
assistance, then, we can determine whether or not they can handle the workload. And
Right.
so thankfully I was able to get into that program. Of course, your girl did what she needed to
Of course.
do. Okay. And
Lawfully.
yeah, so did what I needed to do, got accepted into College Park full time as a full time student. And I didn't let that, what some would call a setback,
You're right.
stop me or deter me from continuing on the journey, because I knew that I had what it took
Yeah.
to deliver what needed to be delivered so I could get in. And so yeah, so did that, and then yeah, graduated with honors and the whole nine. So but yeah, there's definitely been adverse times along my journey. And something else that I'll speak on, I'm gonna try not to get emotional because
Let it flow, honey.
sometimes it sends me there. But growing up in a low income single parent household, um, that really taught me a lot about life. It brought it out the entrepreneur in me. My mother will give the world for me and my little brother,
Yeah.
and she did. And so I saw her struggle, but I didn't let her struggle determine my future. I let it help me so
Yeah.
that I could create a better life for myself, for my family, and one that she could still be proud of the sacrifices that she made for me and for him. And so hopefully today she is proud of where I am and the things I'm doing. And I know she is, she tells me often, but I'm very grateful for her sacrifices, because there were definitely days where she wouldn't eat so that I could have money to go to band camp or
Right.
to participate in cheerleading and things like that, because I was a very active student and this person in general. Even in church, I was the president of our youth ministry and having us do all sorts of different
Yeah.
activities and getting creative and bringing new and fresh ideas to our ministry. But that requires money,
Yeah.
and when you don't have it,
Hmm.
it just creates a whole nother struggle. But thankfully, that hasn't set me back or held me back in any way. It only has helped propel me.
Yes. You know, shout out to your mom. What's your mom's name?
Cornita.
Juanita. Listen, Miss Juanita, you did an amazing job raising your children. And we celebrate you and your success, your determination, your love, your compassion, your selflessness. Because not only did this bless your daughter and your son to be where they are now, she's paying it forward. You know, as I was sitting here thinking, Shenee, I remember when I told you I wrote the play with my cousin,
Hmm.
and you came that night, and knowing you live a distance, knowing you're probably running from one set to the next, but yet you still make time to support and assist those that are in need. When I think about you, when I asked you about your story title for tonight, and you said being on assignment, it literally just excited me, where I'm like, living life on purpose, in purpose, following what God has given you and not being shy about it. Like, oh, I'm so proud of you. And I kept hearing that scripture over in Psalms 46:5. God is with her and she will not fail. You know, God is with you and he has not
Amen.
allowed you to fail, but he continues to excel you, even when it seems challenging. He, like you already said, I know God is going to like, that's that same faith that we see, Abraham later operates in. That's that same faith that we see Job operating in. That's that same faith where we're like, I know he's going to do it. That's something that we all should grab a hold to, most importantly. And so I am just grateful. I'm just so grateful. Just
Oh,
had to
me
say
too.
that. Just pure, pure gratefulness is flowing from my heart for you. And so Amber said after Let's Go Mom. Yes, she is. I'm confident that she's the best. So where what's on your vision board? Like I mean, is it like world domination? Is it is it on the Oprah show? I mean, like I'm trying, what is it? What's on your vision board?
Well, there's a few things on my vision board. One is making Cotton Creations a household name.
Okay.
Especially in the vegan space. So, taking over in terms of products, and we have our second product coming out in a couple weeks. My co-packer just emailed me today that it's ready for pickup. So yeah, so definitely making Cotton Creations a household name. And then also to helping other entrepreneurs. Because one thing that I've noticed on my journey is that there's not really a blueprint, or not necessarily, there is a blueprint, but there's not mentors or sponsors out here that are willing to take you under their wing or share the knowledge. And so that's a gap that I wish to be able to help close, because nobody else that looks like me should have to go out here and do all this research that I've been doing to get where I'm at, in terms of product development, in terms of even going through the patent process. I wrote my own patent, but that whole process is just like, there should be somebody out here, because there's lots of other Black inventors. Come on, y'all, share the wealth of knowledge so that we can bring our whole community up. And so that's something that I definitely wish to be able to do, and empower other people to not just sit on these ideas that God is planting in you. Act on them. There is power in acting on the ideas that and the visions that God has given you. And so, and a lot of times you got to do it right away, because if not, he's going to give it to somebody else to do, because he needs whatever that idea is. The world needs it. Right. And so, sometimes we drag our feet on things and we shouldn't be. And yeah, so those are a few things that I'm definitely hoping to do, and that's on my vision board.
Listen, I'm in full support. I'm like, sign me up. I'll be your beta tester. Because I mentioned to you my girlfriend Amanda Ramsey. She's another amazing entrepreneur. I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my life, and I love it. And when I see, one of the things that I always said, even as a little girl, not even knowing, when I see my friends being blessed, I know God is in my neighborhood, right? So while others are being blessed, instead of taking that sunken place or that sulken, disparage type mentality, I literally, God, thank you for blessing them and continue to bless, because I know I'm next. And so I think about what you're saying about how you want to give that back and share that knowledge and impart. And I believe that, and we're going to talk about this offline, but even with the platforms that we both have, and the other women and men that we know that are entrepreneurs, creating maybe a conference that's just for us, and having those that dialogue, and having working sessions, and having plan, like actually know how to plan. Because I think when you mentioned about the discipline that you showed, that isn't just always inherent. Some people need to learn how to be disciplined. So if you're talking to, and you probably are, because you're definitely talking to me, but if you're talking to someone who wants to step out of the boat, what 5 things would you tell them to do? What would be your 5 tips and tricks to say, step out of the boat?
5 tips and tricks. Well, the first definitely would be pray. You're gonna need prayer to get through it. You're gonna need prayer to take the first step. And after you take the first step to keep walking, you're gonna have to be prayed up.
Yeah.
So that's definitely the very first one. Pray, 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 pray. Stay connected to God. The next one that I would say is going to is be prepared to put in the work.
Yeah.
Like, you have to know that. I know Instagram and TikTok and all these platforms have us like fooled, thinking that, we live in an instant microwave
Mhm.
type of environment and society right now, but that's not real life. Real life, it takes work, and you have to be ready and willing to put in the work.
Mhm.
Um, the other, what we're on 2, 3. Um, when you step out, be okay with, and I'm talking to myself too on this one, be ready to ask for help.
Okay.
Because the thing I tell people about asking for help, especially as an entrepreneur, well, anything in life really that you're trying to build, whenever you're building anything, you need help. And the reason you're going to need help is because, one, you see the whole vision. God has given you the vision. You know what the end result looks like.
Mhm.
But the vision is usually so big that it's going to require more than you
Yes.
and your skill set that you have. It's going to require other expertise to come in and help you fulfill the vision. So be ready to get out there,
Mhm.
network, and ask for help, because
Yeah.
we are not the experts at everything. And
Yes.
we don't have the time to do it all. Like, I would want to be able to do it all, but like, I don't have the time. Um, and then what else? The other 4, I think we're on 4,
Mhm.
that I would say is work-life balance.
Okay.
Self-care is productivity. Self-care is productivity. Be, Making sure that you prioritize self-care is a form of being productive. I know in this like hustle, grind, team no sleep society that we're in right now, it sounds good,
Yeah.
but when your cup is empty,
Mm.
how are you going to be able to pour into something else? How are you going to be able to pour into your ideas, into your vision, into your family, into, whatever it is, your business, your marriage, your kids? You can't.
Yeah.
When that bank account hits negative, hits zero,
Right.
ain't nowhere to put it, nowhere else. So
Yeah.
you have to prioritize self-care. Even when you're in grind mode, still prioritize it. And I don't know. Number 5,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know.
I
My my,
not
my
not
mind is going blank.
not trying to take
Come
there,
on, help me out, sis.
but I was gonna say celebrate the wins,
Okay, that's great too. Yes.
because I think if you're always what's the word, focus on I got, we won't celebrate the small victories. We won't celebrate the small wins. We won't, because we're looking for the grand.
Yes. And you know what? You just spoke to me, because that's something that I'm trying to do better about, because I'm one of the ones that focuses on,
The grand.
yes.
Yeah.
You know me.
But I mean, because let me just say, and I am going to sync you and Amanda up, because she has a podcast, a Hey Sugar podcast. I would love to
Okay.
have you to be a guest on her podcast as well, because your story, your understanding, your journey as you're still continuing it, but you all do things in such a grand scale to a person like me looking in. And then someone might say, well, Camille, you do things in such a grand way, because every perspective is going to be perspective, right?
Right.
It's going to be very objective based on who's or subjective to whoever's looking at it. But I really believe that the nuggets that you shared, first being prayed up, that's numero uno. Uh,
Yes.
Mama too, if she's still watching Dolores Jackson, we always talk about the power of prayer. And last night, understanding the importance of prayer, corporate prayer, and out of Second Chronicles 7, and looking at that. And then you said, be ready to do the work. I think for me, when we talk about doing the work, we just, God, okay, you gave it to me. Just make it happen, Captain. you know how
Okay.
you know how you said let there be, and we've been being ever since. Like,
Right.
do it again, God. And so I think that we have that and doing the work, being equipped for it. And then you mentioned the third being don't be afraid to ask for help. Man. Then you said to prioritize self-care
Mm-hmm.
in a world, because you made it very clear, in a world that makes us feel that, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. But like, well, hold on.
Right.
Hold on. Don't you need some sleep here?
That part.
But of course, finishing up with sharing and standing in and celebrating the small victories, large or small, whatever when you get the email like you just received that your product is ready for new distribution, victory. You know,
Right.
when I think you mentioned about venture capital and different things, but you randomly get a $5,000 grant that someone wants to impart victory.
Come on, speak on it.
You know what I mean? Now I'm thinking, I'm like, Lord, come on. I know you're able. And I know you're
Right.
like, what you have in me is a person who will pray with you. Okay. I tell people all
And
the time,
that I know.
look, I believe God for the biggest stuff of my friends. Oh God, won't you do it? I'm like $1 million deals. Come on, Jesus,
Right.
because you already in Walmart. I saw Cotton Creations in Walmart.
Yes.
I saw it on social media. I haven't went. Let me tell you something. I told my dad, I'm getting the cornbread. I'm getting the cornbread and I'm gonna try it. Because I need you to tell a few folks about how they can buy Cotton Creations so it can be a household name.
Yes, yes, yes. So, as far as our Cotton Creations vegan honey pecan cornbread mix, it is available at, well, as Camille mentioned, Walmart.com. In a few weeks, we'll be adding our vegan pancake and waffle mix as well. Yes.
I didn't
Um,
know.
yeah, so that's coming out in a couple weeks. And it's also available on our website, cottoncreationsllc.com. If you're in the LA area, it's also available at a store called Uplifters Marketplace at the Westfield Mall in Culver City, which is the mall that's closest to LAX, the airport. And am I forgetting? Yeah. And so that's the vegan side of things. In terms of our products, I also host a private chef event called the Vegan Dining Experience,
Yeah.
which is a travel and brunch and dinner party. I prepare 6 courses at brunch and 7 courses at dinner. All plant-based courses. It's such an amazing experience. It's not only about the food. I do a fun educational component. We have a good time, good laughs, prizes, entertainment, music. At brunch we do a little mimosa, and God said, do this as frequently as you can in remembrance of me. So we have a little wine, okay, at dinner. So it's a great time. Tickets are available at my website, cottoncreationsllc.com for that. And then I also invented a hair accessory used to make custom ponytails called the Ponytail Sleeve, and that is available at ponytailsleeve.com. And that's also available at Uplifters Marketplace at Westfield Mall, Culver City.
Yeah.
And that's also available in other beauty supply stores too. So if you're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, it's available at all the KC beauty supply stores, all 7 locations. If you're in Chicago area, Halo Beauty. If you're in the Anaheim, California area, the LA Girl Cave Anaheim is down there. Hopefully I'm not forgetting any locations. But yeah, so products are out there. But like I said, if you want to purchase directly from us, just go to cottoncreationsllc.com and they are available there.
Listen. Oh, I'm just looking at victory after victory after victory. Like these, I mean, you went from having just a thought that clearly God put into you. And then you said, okay, let me work this thing. You followed the steps, prayed about it, consulted with the Father. He said, go ahead, baby girl. Now you're doing the work. Then you knew to ask for some help. You did some self-care because I know you vacation when you can. You do
when I can.
Yes, when you can. You stay looking fresh and ready. Okay.
Thank
And
you.
you're celebrating along the way. It's amazing. And we even have like a testimony here where Dee Dee, first of all, good to see you, sissy. It's been a minute. That is Esquire Avery.
That's right.
That's Esquire. So
Come
if you're
on,
needing
lawyer.
a lawyer, Jesus is the lawyer in our courtroom, but he also sends others to represent him in the courtroom, and that's Dee Dee Avery, okay? Listen, I'll be emailing her soon to bring her on here. But the dining experience is an experience you don't want to miss out on, and when it comes to your city. So listen, you all, I need you to not only go to cottoncreationsllc.com and visit, check out, but most importantly, support. Purchase what you need. I don't care if you ain't got no hair. Get the ponytail. Okay. It could be it's a good gift to give for a white elephant. It's a good gift to give to maybe your lady friend or your sister, your whoever that might have a ponytail. Be a blessing. If you are in need of tasting something new, because I'm telling you, I'm about to buy the cornbread. I sure am. Come Friday, I'm buying the cornbread. When that package comes out for that pancake,
the pancake and waffle mix.
Yeah, I'm getting that too. Because it's not just about talking in theory, but it's about pouring back in, as well as you're giving us something that's good for us, nutritional value.
Yes.
Man.
We'll have to talk about that part of it another time, about the nutritional value part.
I go ahead and hit on it, because that could close the deal for somebody.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to share real quick. So the reason why I even became vegan and started my vegan company has a lot to do with my grandfather. So he passed in 2016. And unfortunately, he had a lot of the things that many within the Black community have. He had high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease. He had a foot infection at the time and a few other things. And so just seeing him go through and live life having to deal with those things and how it limited him in various ways. One day when I was home for Thanksgiving in 2016, I was just visiting with him, and he looks over at me because he had to wake up and take some of his medications. And I mean, it was a ton of medications, probably like 25 pills or more. And so he looks over at me as he's getting his pills and things together and says, I pray you never have to go through this. And that really, really, really stuck with me. And so he passed a month later, but that planted the seed in me to try to figure out, well, how can I prevent these things from happening to me that, many in my family deal with, many in lots of our families deal with. And the one thing that kept coming up in my research was the connection between food and health. And so what we put in our body really does matter. And in my research, I realized that food is really medicine. And so it has healing powers. And so from there, that's when I started to, as I got educated and learned more and started developing, like you said, I've always cooked. And I started developing vegan recipes. I wanted to share that out with my community and the community at large to try to help somebody else be able to either reduce or fully eliminate these illnesses and or reduce the medications that they're on. So even within the person that's close to me, my mom, who has high blood pressure, a month after I became vegan, she went pescatarian, but she includes a lot more vegan meals in her diet. So she probably eats vegan probably 80% of the time. And then every now and then she'll have like seafood and things like that. But even over that time span, she's been able to come off of her blood pressure medication.
Wow.
Right. So like I've even seen it. So I tell people all the time, the goal is not necessarily to get you to be vegan, but the goal is to get you to incorporate as many plant-based meals within your diet as possible. So that could mean, 2 days a week, or 50% of your meals are plant-based and then the other ones are something else. But every little bit counts. So yeah, just wanted to share that. Thanks, sis, for letting me drop
Listen,
that in there.
wait, no, we're gonna hit it all. Because I think that is necessary. And I know what you're saying, because when we've been raised to treat food in a different manner, taking ownership or taking a different stance does require breaking away from traditional eating. You posted maybe a few weeks ago, I want to say either it was a peach cobbler.
Oh, the peach cobbler pound cake.
Yes. And you said that was vegan. And I said, you're
Yes.
lying. I need it right now. So I'm open. Like I was telling Nikki, Doug, you remember Nikki. I was telling Nikki, I'm open to it, because we did a wine tasting at her home, and everything that she served me and the guests was all vegan. And I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
And I said, how is that even possible? Because I think the connotation associated with vegan has always been like, it's going to taste like rubber.
Right.
But you're making quality things for us that are healthy and nutritious. And not only that, your spirit behind doing it is for the right reasons. It's service and rendering back to God what he's given to you. So I'm excited. So I will be purchasing. I'm gonna have to call you and ask me, like, tell me how to like walk through and do it. Like, so do I just put water in it? What do I do?
Girl, it's so simple. You only add 2 ingredients: some vegan milk and some vegan butter. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta find those 2 things. I'm sure I pass them by the aisle and be like, no, not me. But I'll find I'll find them and do that. But Shenee, thank you for stopping by. Thank you, All American, for letting my sister have her life back. But pick her up for next season, and we want her to like have more roles. Like, let's do that. And when that dream role comes, and when all these things, the doors continue to open, I just want to let you know that your little sister is so proud of you. And I salute you 1,001%. And so thank you for the tips that you shared with us. And so for each and every one of you that tuned in tonight, whether you're East Coast, Midwest, or local here on the West Coast, being the best coast, we say thank you. For those that are on YouTube, please hit subscribe button and share a like. Those that are watching on Facebook, share, and then tag Shenee. Yes, look at Cotton Creations. Follow her on Instagram at Cotton Creations. Follow her on Instagram at Shenee Cotton. What's the other one? I know there's a third.
YouTube, Cotton Creations.
Yes,
subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Subscribe, because listen, every subscribe matters. So we need you. So you all have a blessed day, blessed evening. Shenee, I'll talk with you in just a second. We're going to, after we wrap up here. But for each and every one of you that tuned in, so good to see your name. So good to know that you're listening. And we pray that God continues to bless you greatly. May you take the tips that you heard from our beloved sister on tonight and apply them, and not only step out of the boat, but know that you've been on assignment. And you want to make sure that you fulfill your assignment. And I'm talking to myself, because I'm about to bend her ear and be like, show me what I need to do. So I love you all. May God bless you. May God keep you. And we'll see you next week.